Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:03, and I hereby call this meeting of the Student Senate to order. So we'll begin with roll call. When I read your name, please say here or present. Martinez. Here. Gopa. Here. Azan. Present. Rolls. Here. Chenoweth. Here. Everhart. Here. Prather. Thank you very much. Atikos. Here. Halas. Here. Trotter. Here. Moisango. Verriger. Here. Irving. Here. Jones. Here. Cecil. Here. Eisma. Here. Amro. Here. Momini. Here. Larson. Pursley. Here. And Schneider. Here. With that, we do have quorum for the evening. So we'll now move into the Pledge of Allegiance led by Speaker Cecil. And so if that, will move straight into our Senate program for this evening, Workday Student.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Michelson. I am a senior advisor to the Senior Vice President and Provost, Jonathan Wickard. I've been a faculty member here for 42 years. I was the department chair for Ag and Biosystems Engineering for 10 years. And then the provost asked if I would co-lead this project with Senior Vice President Kristen Constant, who I believe met with you maybe about a month ago, to give you an update on Workday student receivables. So tonight we're in the engagement stage where we really want you as leaders to engage all those that you lead in preparing them for the rollout, which is happening very quickly. Just a quick aside, I've been here, I was just telling our communication team back here a story that I was in this room right where Jones, is it Sydney? Sydney, where you're sitting, in 1982 as a new academic advisor here at Iowa State. And they had, during orientation, meet with families, and it was the parents, and they'd say, you have an academic advisor at your table that can help you out. And one of the fathers raised their hand and said, we don't have one at our table. And that was because I looked really young at that time. Now I don't have that problem anymore, but I've been here for a long time. And actually in 1982, when I started as an academic advisor, we were using ADIN, which we're still using today. As far as our legacy system. And of course, Access Plus has been around for almost 27 years. So I think we all agree it's time that we move into a modern system, and that's why we're moving to Workday. So just as a reminder, I'm sure Kristen talked about this last time, the whole goal of this project is to help students at Iowa State succeed, all cyclones, including staff and faculty, but really a focus on students. And Workday Student handles everything all the way from recruitment, admissions, all the way to post-graduation and transcripts. And it's really the biggest shift in using any kind of system at Iowa State in the history of Iowa State. And so we really wanted this in the beginning to be a package that was innovative and had a lot of agility. And we really wanted to standardize systems across all the different entities here, all the colleges at Iowa State, to make it easier for you if you change majors, that you would have a common kind of a experience across all of campus. So I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. Again, you've seen this before, and you'll have access to this that you can take back to your clientele. But what's really changing, some of the major things are class registration, which actually is going to start here at the end of next month in March. And so you can set up your 4-year plans. There's going to be automatic prereq checking. The 4-digit number, we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. No more RAN numbers, and we'll talk about the impact of that as far as whether you would need to meet with your advisor before you register or not. The academic progress, what used to be called your degree audits, and I've used that terminology for a lot of years, is now going to be the academic progress reports. And so it's important to know that. And then there's going to be easy access to academic advisors as far as setting up your appointments to meet with them and to get help when you need to when registering for classes. And then the financial side. I think you all agree you'd like to be able to do all these things: registering, looking at your degree audit, doing your financial aid, paying your tuition, all from one location, and that's what Workday Student really allows you to do. Let's go back there. So it's good to remember we're still going to be in the legacy system all the way through the end of summer of 2024. So you've already done it this semester, you're going to continue legacy in the summer, and then by the fall of 2024, everything's going to be in Workday. As far as the rollout, this is a lot different than we'd had for HCM and finance back in 2019 when we rolled out Workday in those areas, where it was like we turned everything on in July of 2019. This one's being rolled out over time, and so we've already had some rollouts with admissions part of things, and now we're at the point where we're going to be moving all students towards registering for fall for this next year in Workday. And so that's the major shift, and we'll talk about some of the other components in the next slide. So fall registration in Workday, the undergraduate degree audit now will be the academic program report, and then as grad students, a lot of their elements will also be showing up within Workday. And then April through June of 2024, the whole financial aid packaging will be released. I've already talked about this as a reminder. We're still in the old system for 2024 in summer, and then in fall we'll be in Workday. We had a lot of questions. I've gone out and talked to a lot of student groups, and one of the questions is, how about third-party access? That's come up quite often. So what you have set up right now in the current system, it does not roll over. And so when you do your onboarding, you're going to want to set that up if you have that as something that you've specified in the past. Of course, we don't ever want you to be sharing passwords, and so you'll be able to have a safe way within Workday to set up your third-party access. And like I'll talk about in several cases, we have a lot of how-to or knowledge-based articles that'll help you through how to do that. So here's the things I really want you to know that are coming up. So when we get to March 4th, you're all going to have a Workday tile show up on the portal. Now, if you're a student that works here at Iowa State, you already have Workday. How many already have the tile, okay? And you're actually probably going to start to see some of this as we're doing kind of the soft rollout. You really can't do anything in Workday until we get to March 4th, okay? So if you see something there, you really aren't supposed to be in there and really can't do anything at this point in time anyhow. So when we get to March 4th, you're going to see a task within your inbox that's going to say it's time to onboard. And part of that is going in, and so we'll be bringing a lot of your information over into Workday. You'll need to go in and validate that information. If you want to set up third-party access, you'll have to do that. Your immunization records will have to be uploaded. So, and before you can register, you need to complete that onboarding. So that's an important thing to be telling all the people that you're working with, is make sure that you do the onboarding before you register. Beginning on March 26th then is when the registration starts. That'll be for like graduate students and those that have special early registration periods. If for those of you that were in the mock semester, you were granted early registration. I don't know how many did the mock semester in here. So a few of you, so you'll be able to register early, which is a nice thing. The thing to remember, and we've heard this from students, is we're adding a 0 to the end. So if it was 165 before, it's now 1650. Okay? Why are we doing that? Why are we adding a 0? Because we're running out of numbers here at Iowa State. And I've been involved with curriculum for many years in my department, and we've kind of run out of numbers to be able to create new courses here at Iowa State. So for an innovative department that's generating a lot of new courses over time, we run out of numbers. And so we're also following kind of the model for the other Regents universities or other peer universities using and going to a 4-digit system. For those that are in Vet Med, we're actually adding a 7 in the front of their number system. Wait lists. Nice thing about wait listing now is when you go in to register for class and it's full, but it has a wait list option, you can actually click that I want to register for that class. You'll be put on a wait list, and then once an opening comes open, you'll be notified. You'll have 24 hours to accept that. If not, it'll move on to the next student in the list. But it's going to really streamline how we do that. And there are instructions, again, on that on the service portal. Prerequisites. So we are finally, and this is something especially as staff and faculty at Iowa State that we've really pushed for a long time, is the ability to check prerequisites so that as a student, you're not getting into a class that you're not really prepared for. It's also very important for accredited programs. I'm an engineer. We are an accredited program, and when we are reviewed for our accreditation, they look at, are you following your prerequisites? Do you really have truth in advertising? And you can lose your accreditation if you aren't following that. And so we've met with all the different departments here at Iowa State to have them review their prerequisites to make sure they truly are prerequisites for courses and not just recommendations, and encourage them to, if they were a recommendation, like let's say Econ 101, that they would put that in the catalog information so that it's we recommend that you have this before you take the class, but it's not a prerequisite course, okay? So when you register, it's important that you look at what are the prerequisites. If you don't have that, you're not gonna be able to get in. Now you can ask for permission to waive that. And that's also in the portal as far as how you can go about that. And so there is ways around that. Let's say you're gonna be taking a course overseas, and that's not going to get transferred in right away. You want to tell your academic advisor, but you could also specify that within the system. Save schedule is another thing. It's not required that you save a schedule, but when you go in and look at the portal and like how to register, you can go in and create your schedule early before you register. And let's say you're taking 5 classes, you can add all those classes into a saved schedule, and then when your registration period comes up, you can implement that schedule and the sections that you have specified. At the time you implement that, you can go in and change the sections if you want. So if you're like, I did that a couple of weeks ago, now I'd like to kind of move that around, you'll have that opportunity to do so. There is a video that's out there that you can watch just to get an introduction if you've not seen anything about Workday. As far as this how to get started, I believe it's 2 minutes and 27 seconds, so it doesn't take a lot of time. You're also going to find like how to register or about the wait list. There's a lot of mini videos that you can watch, and also these knowledge-based articles that'll step you through, for instance, the onboarding that you'll do right away. And I went out and looked at that again today. It's a very straight, it's actually, the video is really good, and the steps are very easy to follow. The other thing I'd mention is all the colleges are creating help for you as students. So there's going to be, if you go to your academic advisor and they're like, you know what, I don't have the time to actually help you set up your schedule right now, but you can go to the college help room and they'll help you set that up. And if something comes up, there will be access as well directly to either chat or email the issue that you're going through. And so the learn more is, you can go to the worksite.iastate.edu. We have got it set up so that as an undergraduate student, you can look at your role as an undergrad or as a graduate student, and then it'll go and say, here are the top 5 videos or pieces of information that you should look at as you want to get used to using Workday. And we're doing that for staff and for faculty and multiple different roles. And we've been working heavily with the academic advising community to prepare them for what's going to be happening here in March with registration. So a lot of training for them and a lot of training materials for them so that they're prepared. But I would ask that you be patient with your academic advisors, okay? They're learning a new system too. And so when you get in there and they're like, you know, I'm in the heat of the moment, I'm not sure, be patient with them and use the help room accordingly. There's a lot of emails that are going to be coming out. If you see anything that has the word Workday in it, read it. Because again, this is a major paradigm shift, and we're trying to keep the communication very succinct and to the point. And we have it kind of audience-based. We're not just blasting everybody with emails. You know, if it's specific for faculty, we're sending it to them. For advisors, to them. but there are going to be some that are in general as well. And so please read that, encourage your folks to read those as well. Oops, go back. There is, so if you want to email, if you see something like you want to provide feedback, there is an email project, worksite_feedback at Iowa State. The one thing I'd like to mention is that we have a continuous improvement team that we have hired and are developing to continue to look at Workday student after we go live. So it's not like we're just going to go live and that's it. We're going to continually improve. There's two major releases that come out from Workday every year. And so we look at those releases. We'll determine when it's the right time to actually implement those here at Iowa State. There are some packages over time. They'll add more functionality that we may implement. And so we'll look at that based on feedback from students and faculty and staff. And then when appropriate, we'll add more functionality to Workday as well. So with that, I'm going to stop and see what questions you might have. And I've got, again, my communications team back here that if I can't answer it, hopefully they can, or we'll take notes and we'll get back and answer that question for you. So I am the face of the project, so I got to admit, I'm not in all the details. You know, if you ask me for something like, how do you do this specific step, I probably can't answer it. So I could try to fake it, but I wouldn't know how.
So with that, the floor is open for any questions. Senator Azan.
First of all, thank you so much for showing these resources. So my first question will be about Learn at ISU. So you probably know about that Learn at ISU, which is a platform that ISU currently using for all the trainings and all this stuff. Are you guys considering incorporating that to Workday? That's my first question.
Dan, I might have you help with that answer.
So it's going to be in Workday, as far as I understood. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Right. So just so that everybody here, so we'll be in Worksite, and so the knowledge base articles and we have digital training, and we'll have some face-to-face trainings that are available as well. But for you talking about for the Learn, that'll be available within Workday.
Typically, for example, I'm a grad student, so I have to take certain courses to work in the lab, safety trainings and all. So typically, I use Learn at ISU, get the documentation and send it to my advisor.
Correct.
That's kind of like a tedious process, you have to watch all the videos and get the documentation and hand it to the supervisor.
I know exactly what you're talking about, all this lab safety training, things like that, yep.
Okay, so that was my first question.
Yep, very, very good question, thank you.
Yeah, the second question that I have is about the POC committee and prelim and all this like approval stuff that typically happens at Access Plus.
Right.
You have to download the form, physical form, get the signature, and then submit it to the relevant department to get it approved. So are we planning to do it online?
All that's in Workday.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that, I yield.
Senator Jones.
You might have said this, and I just didn't catch it, but what will replace the RAN number, or does that just?
Thank you for asking that, because I did say that I would mention that later, and I didn't. And so it really depends on the college. Like, there are some colleges that when you get into Workday, it'll have a place that says, here's when you can register, the date and the time. Some colleges will place a hold on students. And so, for instance, the College of Ag and Life Sciences, all the students will have a hold by the advisor placed until they meet with the advisor to look at their schedule, get it approved, and then that hold will be removed and they can register on their registration date and time. Other colleges, basically everybody's kind of following the same practice they had before. But there is no more RAN number, and so you will be able to, as soon as you get on March 4th, be able to see when your registration date and time is.
Senator Rolls.
All right, so I will say Workday is a pretty good system. I did the mock semester, and it's quite intuitive. I feel like even a lot of the crowd was like older, like faculty, and I think like even they got it right away pretty much. It's pretty easy to understand. But about that one question I had is if you can talk about it, how is the feedback from the mock semester getting implemented? And like what was like kind of the main thing they wanted fixed?
Yep. Actually, course numbering came up in some of it, but some of the feedback was like your role, like if you're an employee versus a student, and sometimes the confusion between, what you're accessing at what time. And so we're kind of looking to streamline that so it's really clear within your menu where you need to go. Trying to think, Dan, can you think of? Oh, you got a little speaker over there too. Nice. That one of them was that came up in one of the conversations. Well, you figured that out. Is sometimes in Workday you have to kind of go back and forth between the different applications, and I know where Dan, you got it. So the question is sometimes it can be a little clunky within Workday if you have to go back and look at a class that you want to take to register. And one of the things that we're encouraging actually both students and staff and faculty is to use multiple windows, open multiple windows so that you can be looking at information and then actually applying it within the other window. And so that was another one. Anything else, Dan, that you can remember?
Those were the primaries. It was a question at one point of not being able to find their information within mock semester, and that was because of the timing of when the information was copied, which was December 30th. So that was merely a timing issue, but it was a concern that was raised.
Yeah. But the feedback overall was very positive, and like it's fairly intuitive, it's modern, we're excited to use it, and we're hearing more of that go out. Yeah. Thank you for your feedback, appreciate that.
Moving on to Director Miller.
I have two questions. My main one is, where will those training videos be available for people to watch? Will those be available on Workday itself or on Canvas?
So you'll be able to go to the worksite website. By March 4th, they'll all be available. So when we actually go live, you'll be able to go out on March 4th, and you'll be able to see, as an undergraduate role, here are the top videos that you ought to look at, and they'll have the knowledge base articles and the digital material available.
Okay, and for my second question, this is mostly just a selfish question because I have to deal with this complicated thing in my schedule. But I am a double major, so I have to retake certain things that I didn't have to initially. And so for next semester, I will need to take a prerequisite class at the same time as a class that requires that prerequisite. Will that be possible, or will I have to have my schedule just really upturned?
So if I understand that situation, you would have to contact the instructor to ask for basically a waiver to get in if you haven't had it. And I would work with your academic advisor. And the nice thing about this system, if let's say you have, in your case, you have a couple different degrees that you're working on, you can work with either academic advisor. They have all access to all information about you. Or if you have 3 or 4 majors, you can work with any of the academic advisors and they'll have access to your information. Yep. If it's a concurrent course where I take this course, and as long as I'm taking it, I can take the other, that'll be fine. So.
All right, moving over to Senator Persley.
Okay, so I'm on Workday right now, and I see all the academics things. I can find those things. Where is it that you pay for your tuition and stuff on Workday? Is that going to be on Workday?
That'll be within Workday. Yep.
So will it be like a tab that just says tuition, or is it going to be very similar to Access Plus? And how would you defer that from your work pay?
We're gonna have Dan answer that.
Yeah, you're not going to see much until this summer when it comes to the finance piece of the puzzle. We're doing the rolled in our implementations, and finance is coming along in June, July. So that's when you'll start to see information show up in Workday.
Yep. But you should be able to see it all, and you should be able to see it from anywhere. And so that's the nice thing about being in the cloud. If you're traveling overseas, you should be able to see that. And you'll have to like approve if you have scholarships, you'll have to accept the scholarships, but you will do that within Workday as well.
Speaker Cecil.
So I'm a student in College of Engineering and College of Ag, and they have very different policies on certain things to change your schedules. Is this like making uniform policies across colleges, or because like adding credits is very different in the College of Engineering versus in Cal's, just because they have different like requirements for you to request an extension to your credit limit. So is there like uniformity being applied on this, or is it still going to have those?
Well, there's uniformity, but there would be like, let's say, the example of where an advisor would put a hold until you meet with them. That could be dependent on which college. Actually, I think probably both colleges are going to do that, but it could also be dependent on the department and how they handle, that part of it. I'm not rules. Can you actually ask that again? Because like when you say add credits, what are you specifically saying?
So I'll just give you an example.
Sure.
I was on a study abroad that took place over spring break. For the College of Engineering, there's a lot of like request material that goes with that to justify why I need like 3 additional credits rather than 18. But for Cal's, which it might be department specific, that was able to be increased to allow me to have the study abroad without much like application on my side. And just having those, like there's a lot more complication on the engineering side, which is justifiable because you don't want stressed students. But I was just curious if that sort of thing was more like.
Some of that sounds very curricular dependent, and so will be based on college. Yep. And so important do you have an advisor in each college then? Yeah, so important to work with both of those.
Senator Ticos.
Hello, so my question is, can we filter our course research based on criteria such as format of delivery or like the faculty that the course is offered from? Because some community colleges do offer this as just to help like students when they're like trying like to add a certain class, so that like on Access Plus sometimes like we have to like scroll through to get to a certain like faculty. And
So you will have those filter capabilities, yep. Which is a really nice feature, yeah.
All right, Senator Azan.
So my last question will be an open question. So what is one thing that that you love about Workday, in your opinion? Like one thing that you like, oh, that's awesome, that's great.
Well, for somebody that's been here for a long time and done advising since 1982, just the idea, I think, and this is where cyclones succeed. For me as an advisor, or for you as a student, to be able to do this from anywhere is really a major positive, right? The other one I would say, so you said one, but I'll give you 2, is that we're all in one system. No more ADIN, which you guys don't see ADIN unless you watch your academic advisor look at a black screen with green lettering, right? That's the ADIN. That's really kind of the database of all the information. And then Access Plus. And so really getting everything under, one system. And that's really been we've really pushed hard to try to get as much underneath. Now, you're still going to have Canvas and other things that are going to be using this as the main source of information that they'll pull from. And faculty will either submit grades on Canvas or they'll submit it directly within Workday. Or if you're helping to grade as a graduate student, you'd be doing that. So. Yep. Yep. So you can use Workday just like you did Access Plus before, or move to Canvas. So, good question.
All right, and so with that, the floor is open for any further questions or comments for Workday. Seeing none, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So with that, we'll move into open forum. Open forum shall serve as an opportunity for students to speak about issues relevant to the student body. If there's anyone here tonight for open forum, I would ask that you approach the podium at this time. And I would ask that all senators close or mostly close your laptops as a show of respect. This time is yours.
Y'all are making me nervous being so formal. Hi everyone, my name is Andy Montalvo Martinez. I'm majoring in healthcare management and I facilitate the advocacy department for the student organization Color of Love. I'm here today to bring to your attention an issue that impacts many students, especially students of color on this campus. Attendance at this university should not be a potential entry to the criminal justice system and much less make you subject to police violence. Students of color feel unsafe on this campus because of police presence. Students on this campus are traumatized by interactions with police officers, and their experience is minimized because everyone on this campus stays within their frame of reference. Your perception of safety should not minimize the reality of what students experience on campus, and your positive experience with law enforcement should not minimize the traumatizing experience that other students face on campus. It's concerning that some think that community can be built with people who carry a gun at their waist, that community can be built with people who body slam students, leading to bodily injury, or that community can be built with people who disregard students who experience sexual violence on this campus. I'm not saying that you all have the power to change everything, but I am asking you, as people who represent the student body, to raise a flag on this issue. I think it's time that this body thinks about meeting harm with actual healing and look to push for effective ways to prevent violence on this campus. One potential avenue to do this is pushing for restorative justice and more holistic approaches to prevent violence on this campus. You may wonder how effective restorative justice can be for a campus this size, but luckily, it's been done before. In Des Moines Public Schools, a school district with the student population of 30,000 students, similar to Iowa State University, removed their police officers in 2021 and reinvested their money to a restorative justice system that led to a 90.3 decrease in the amount of students who received charges just 2 years after the implementation. And students were reported feeling safer on campus. Thank you for your time.
And so I do apologize, Senator Zahn, and I want to make sure I'm right about this, that we don't do questions in open forum. So I apologize for that. And so thank you very much. And so with that, I would ask if there are any other students here tonight for open forum. All right, seeing none, we'll move into adopting this evening's agenda. Are there any amendments?
We have a program on sexual violence prevention education, which will be followed up by my proposal to incorporate this kind of education into student government and other student orgs. So I'm super excited to present this proposal to you. I've been working hard on it. However, I know this is a really sensitive topic for some, so if you need to excuse yourself, tune it out, etc., please do so. The purpose of presenting this is not to make anybody feel uncomfortable, so please do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. If you have any questions about this and what we're going to be talking about next week, please don't hesitate to reach out. And Detective Green and Carrie Geis are both wonderful people, and I can also give you their contact information if you have any questions about the issue, before they give the program on Wednesday. So thank you.
So with that, are there any questions for health and wellness? Seeing none, is there a representative tonight from legislative ambassadors? Seeing none, we'll move on to the other category. This is an opportunity for any senators to share updates on committees that were not otherwise represented on tonight's agenda. Seeing no updates, we'll move into comments from the judicial branch. Seeing as we do not have a representative from the judicial branch, we'll move on to comments from our advisor.
No real comments today. Just keep doing the good work that you're doing and make sure that you hit those midterms good.
Are there any questions for our advisor? Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the executive branch.
All right. Hello, everybody. So my first announcement is we will be getting a new Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I believe by the end of the week, Supreme Court has a meeting tomorrow night, and they will be voting on who will be the new Chief Justice. My next announcement is I believe it was yesterday. My days are bleeding together. Yesterday was State Day at the Capitol. There were 16 of us that went, and it was an amazing day. We spent about 4 hours at the Capitol, had the opportunity to meet with Adam Gregg. I think it was also Pat Grassley that we met with. And then many of us also had the opportunity to turn some slips in and get some of those state representatives and senators out to come talk about mental health, affordability, and anything else that we thought was really important. So please feel free to any of us that went to reach out and ask us some more questions, because it was a great day and there's lots to share. A lot of great conversations were had. Other than that, lots of meetings happening all the time. No big announcements this week. But I have to leave after my announcement, so I wanted to preface tonight we'll be seeing a candidate for the Director of Marketing, Chase Anderson. I'm super excited to bring Chase into the team. He is very talented. He has shown us some samples of his work. He's a very committed guy, so please ask him some questions. He knows how to answer them, and I have full faith that he's going to do a great job if you all vote yes to bring him into this job. Otherwise, I think that's all I have for you all tonight.
The floor is open for questions for the executive branch. Seeing no questions, we'll move into the business of this evening. Did I hear we had an amendment? All right, and so ignoring the formatting for a moment, is there a second on that motion, first of all? It's been moved and seconded to add item 003 SD to the top of external matters. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, the amendment shall be made. And so we'll move straight into item 2023-3-003 SD, confirming an engineering senator with Vice Speaker Everhart.
All right, so this bill got tabled last week. That's why we added it back to the agenda. It just didn't make its way back on. But this is David. He came and spoke at Rules a couple times, and he wants to be confirmed as an engineering senator. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Hi, my name is David Minshew. I'm a sophomore in aerospace engineering. One of the first big reasons why I wanted to be an engineering senator is just to make change, just in general. I think I also have the ability to make change, like I don't know, never mind. I also have the presence, and I know a lot of people that have a lot of problems. I'm told on the daily, like good and bad things about the university, so I think if I have a voice in that and an opinion, good things can happen.
So with that, the floor is open, starting with Senator Gopa.
Okay, so you said you know people tell you about your problems, right? So how would you start a project based on that?
I'd probably talk to other people around me, other senators, and get their opinion on that, and probably just get more opinions and see if it's a real big change that needs to be made.
Okay, what are some of the biggest problems you're seeing in an engineering college?
I could not think of one off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah. Take some time, yeah. No, even a small one, something we can accomplish.
I would say probably getting things out there and known more, because I know a lot of people don't know things are going on and are not aware of things happening. So that's one thing, if we want to get more people involved.
Yeah, I think that's a good project to start on. Yeah, thank you.
Senator Rolls.
So one of the things you have to do as a senator is join a committee. So has there been any committees that you looked at?
I was looking into the student engagement committee. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Azan.
Do you have any idea how much time is left for this session? That's first question. And the second question is, are you planning to, run again for Senate in a student government? Get nominated by your council?
I plan on doing that, yes. And
Okay.
what do you mean by this session?
So how much, because we are pretty much close to the end of, our term. So that's basically what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is, we have limited time, so, what are the things that you want to accomplish during that time? Can you talk about that?
I would absolutely run again, but
Okay. Any specific project, any specific thing that you want to accomplish during that time?
during the next few months,
Yeah.
I'd probably say I'd be more of a helping hand to other people with their projects
Okay.
because it's not much time to get my own started.
Okay. With that, I yield.
So if that, the floor is open for any further discussion. Seeing none, is there a call to question? Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Vice Speaker Everhart. Seeing no closing comments, we'll move into a vote. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this motion by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Congratulations. It's been moved for a 5-minute recess. Is there a second on that motion? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to a 5-minute recess? Seeing no objections, we will reconvene at 6:55. All right, everyone, the time is 6:57, and I hereby reconvene the Student Senate. As a piece of context, we are waiting for a Supreme Court Justice to swear in our new senator. Go ahead.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
to execute the duties of my position
to execute the duties of my position
as prescribed in the Constitution
as prescribed in the Constitution
and laws of government
and in laws and government
of the behalf of all students.
of the behalf of all students.
That's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Am I good?
Yep, thank you very much. You can go ahead and take a seat. And so with that, we'll move on to item 2023-3-001SC, confirming a Director of Marketing with Vice Speaker Everhart.
All right, so Jen kind of touched on this earlier, but yeah, this is our new potential Director of Marketing. Ask him lots of questions. I did not get to meet with him, but I'm sure he's overly highly qualified, so yeah.
You can go ahead.
Oh,
If you'd like to introduce yourself or share anything with the Senate.
all right. Hi, my name's Chase Anderson. I am a sophomore in software engineering here at Iowa State. I've spent 3.5 years in the United States Air National Guard, during which time I did cybersecurity and cyber transport systems. I'm coming here now to keep pushing forward my education. In that time span, while I was stationed in Mississippi, I bought my first camera, and ever since I've fallen in love with photography, videography, and all sorts of social media parameters as well. So when I got the opportunity to do this for my fraternity 2 years ago, I took that. And then recently I was confirmed as the publicity board for Engineers Week, which has been holding events all week. And I am now trying to go for student government, so.
So with that, the floor is open for questions, starting with Senator Irving.
There you go. Hi, I just have a quick question. So what are your first steps going to be if confirmed to this position?
So the first thing I would really like to hit on is the fact that, as I said, I'm a sophomore, going to be going to my junior year, and this is the first time I found out that student government was a tangible thing I could get involved with, right? This hasn't been something that's really been pushed to me as, hey, this is an opportunity for you to get into if you're not in political science. That was kind of always something that I figured, that's what I've heard from other people. Again, we did the debates last night, and we had a handful of people show up, and I would love to see a few more people involved in seeing where their money's going to, what they're doing for us, and how we can make Iowa State a better place.
There we go. Sorry. That should be all my questions for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senator Gopa.
To follow up on Irving's question, how do you make that possible? By social media or in-person advertising, or how do you do that?
Yes, definitely by social media. Instagram is by far one of our largest ways of reaching out to the public, and Snapchat has become an increasingly large one with the different class stories. Currently, any type of time I advertise for our fraternity, for Engineers Week, we hit Instagram, usually putting out, you can sponsor posts to go up. We put out one last night, and it's at over 5,000 views via Instagram. Yesterday, I put out 2 of them that hit 2,500 on each story for the Snapchat 26 and 27 groups. It's just a really good way to get out and reach people our age and say, hey, come into this, come see what we're doing. You know, we're here for you guys.
Okay, do you have experience editing videos and making graphics?
Yes, I use Adobe Lightroom, Adobe Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and DaVinci Studios.
Also, you're obviously gonna get like a ton of requests from everyone to make like videos and projects. Are you a good delegator?
Yes, I primarily try to do photography. I think that getting the actual resources ahead of time is really important. And then when you have all that in hand, you can break it up down to, hey, if you can edit this, if you can edit this, it's a way more streamlined process than sending each person off on their own conquest.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Speaker Everhart.
Okay, I just have 2 quick questions. One, would you be willing to take headshots for everybody in student government?
Of course.
Awesome. And 2, if you were to describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
courageous.
Senator Irving?
Hello, sorry, me again. Just a quick question. So I've noticed in a large portion of Frederickson Court is not really aware of student government even existing. So how would you try to get people aware, maybe advertising through the, for the Instagram? How would you try to get people more aware that we actually exist in the apartments, maybe the SUVs as well?
Yeah, so Frederickson Court is obviously a little more satellite away from where everything else takes place on campus, right? Those, considered dorms are not around when we do a lot of the RA events here. So that would be a whole different issue of figuring out maybe how we can bring things to them, right? A lot of them don't want to make that trek back after their school day and have to deal with, either commuting themselves or catching the buses, especially on weekends when we don't have that public transportation always running. So I think bringing events to them, saying that they can get involved even when they're not at the heart of campus is our best way to do that. Same thing with people down in towers. If we can get things to them so that they don't have to make that trek back or make it worth them coming, that's the best way to reach them.
All right, then I am settled.
Senator Trotter?
Hello, just asking, what roughly are your time commitments? Are you going for a particularly intensive major? Do you think you'll have reliable time to do all the jobs of the position?
Yeah, I mean, software engineering is by no means an easy major. All right, I have a lot of time caught up in projects, in a lot of studying. But I've been making work for Delta Sigma Phi. I've been making work for Engineers Week. And with both of those kind of rolling to an end at the end of the week, I'm more than happy to kind of pick this up and get things running through the short term that I have. And, you can test me through it, but hopefully I'll be running again for the next semester.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, the floor is open for any further questions. Moved and seconded to end debate at this time. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Vice Speaker Everhart? Seeing no closing comments, we'll move into a vote. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this motion by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Congratulations. So with that, we'll move into item 2023-3-008F, funding the gymnastics club's nationals, registration, and travel with, in the absence of Senator Janes, Senator Eisma.
Good evening, everybody. If the representative would want to go to the front and then talk a little bit about gymnastics and then about this bill. It is very straightforward. They're just asking for money for registration and for a van.
All right, hi guys, my name is Melanie Hodge and I'm the treasurer for the Gymnastics Club. We have been a club for about 2 years, so this will be our second year and our second time going to nationals. Last year we also requested funding for nationals and we were grateful that we were able to go to Memphis with that money. And this year we are going to go to Albuquerque, also with NAIGC for nationals, so we are looking forward to that. We are requesting funding for the registration, which is about $165 per person, so requesting half, which is $82.5. And then we are also requesting money for a third of the gas.
So with that, the floor is open for discussion. It's been moved and seconded to end debate after no debate. Is there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Senator Eisma. Seeing no closing comments and seeing as this is a finance bill, we'll move into a roll call vote. So I'll give you the opportunity to say yes, no, or you may abstain. Martinez.
Yes.
Gopa.
Yes.
Azan.
Yes.
Rolls.
Yes.
Chenoweth.
Yes.
Everhart.
Yes.
Atikos.
Yes.
Halas.
Yes.
Trotter.
Yes.
Moisango.
Yes.
Verriger. Irving.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Cecil.
Yes.
Eisma.
Yes.
Amro.
Yes.
Momini.
Yes.
Persley.
Yes.
And Minshew. So with a vote of I'm sorry, I don't think you were on the roll. I apologize for that. Senator Schneider. Thank you. And so with a vote of 20 to 0, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll move into general order, starting with item 2023-3-007 SG, seating an at-large to the Sustainability Committee with Senator Persley.
We interviewed this person who was really awesome, and now I'm going to give it to Olivia to read his blurb.
Hello, so I really like this candidate. He will be helping us with something that we definitely need another person for, and I'm just going to read the blurb that he sent me. As an avid advocate for sustainability, I am thrilled at the opportunity to serve as an at-large member of the Sustainability Committee. With a background in urban planning and a passion for conservation, I will bring a multifaceted perspective to the table. My goal for this semester is to collaborate with fellow committee members and to implement innovative strategies that promote environmental stewardship and foster a culture of sustainability around our campus. I am dedicated to making meaningful contributions towards a more resilient and eco-conscious future.
So if not, the floor is open for any questions or discussion. Seeing none, is there a call to question? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to ending debate now? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Senator Persley. Seeing no closing comments, we'll move into a vote. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this nominee by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objections, the motion carries. So with that, we'll move into 2023-3-008 SG, seating a senator to the Sustainability Committee with Senator Persley.
I have no opening comments. It's Lauren. She can go and talk.
Yeah, so I've talked with Olivia and Senator Persley last week and about what I could accomplish within Sustainability Committee, and I think I'm really focused on the publicity side just because there's a lot that, especially I feel like within the freshman class, that nobody knows about. They join this giant, large community and they hear all about these sustainability things from a trickle down or from friends of a friend. And I think bringing that into the freshman class and also working on stuff like I'm very interested in pollinator plants and maybe introducing a little bit more pollinator plants and pollinator specific environments on campus with unused landscaping would be a really neat idea. And I just want to get involved.
So with that, the floor is open for discussion. Moved and seconded to end debate at this time. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Senator Persley? Seeing no closing comments, sorry? UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this nominee by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Moving on to item 2023-3-009 SG, seating a senator to the Finance Committee with Senator Eisma.
Just like Lawrence Moisango, if you'd like to go up front. We're looking forward to him being part of finance. He's expressed interest for a while, and short and sweet.
Well, I've shown interest in the finance committee since last semester, and I've been trying, and they recently had open seat and I applied again. So I'm really passionate about students being engaged with their money, like allocating in the best way possible of student money. So hence joining the finance committee.
So with that, the floor is open for discussion. Moved and seconded again to end debate at this time. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Senator Eisma. Seeing no closing comments, we'll move into a vote. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this nominee by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll move into our new business items for this evening, starting with item 2023-3-002Y, identifying official social media platforms of student government with Speaker Cecil.
Okay, so I have talked to Maddie about this bill. The reason it's here, when I was Chief Justice, I made an Instagram and it's like never used, but there are people that still follow it because it was attached to my email, so occasionally I get those. There are a few other accounts that have been made by past committees. So working with PR committee, we're just gonna like make sure every year there's a list with all of the passwords, and then on the website, those are specifically linked so people know like where we're putting out our information. Because the Supreme Court having an account that is never used is not useful. Now, Maddie does have or will have access to it. I think I sent her the password, but just making sure that we like are as open with everyone as possible. That's the goal of this bill. And like having PR be in charge of all of the passwords because that has been issues in the past, so.
So I will add as a note for new senators that new business items are only eligible for yes or no questions of intent. So if that, the floor is open for questions of intent. Senator Pursley.
So would directors of each committee just like submit to PR what their accounts are, and then it would all be put into this one list?
Yeah, so PR would like.
Questions of intent, Speaker Cecil?
Yes. Yes.
I apologize. And so with that, the floor is open for any further questions of intent. Seeing none, we'll see this item next week. We'll move on to 2023-3-003Y, adding the election commissioner as a chief officer with Speaker Cecil.
Okay, this one's a little weird. There's a lot of benefit to the election commissioner being in meetings with chief officers. And as the Chief Justice already has to remain like nonpartisan, non-biased, it would function very similarly, and it would essentially be a second chief officer of the judicial branch. But Chief Justice Taylor previously and I met with this year's election commissioner and walked through a lot of the rules that maybe needed to be gone over, and just having them in the room in the fall outside of elections would be good, and so this would facilitate that. Yeah.
So with that, the floor is open for questions of intent, starting with Senator Azan.
Will adding a new chief officer will increase the cost, financial burden on a student government in terms of MU parking spots or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Senator Gopa.
So I know that the president appoints the election commissioner. Let's say the current, hypothetical scenario, the current president appoints the election commissioner and the current president is rerunning. It appoints the election commissioner, which is his or her friend, and the president is running again. Is that a possibility which could ever happen?
Yes.
You can also address the election commissioner with yes or no questions if you wish. So. All right, and so if that, Senator is on.
Point of information, Chief Justice appoints election commissioner.
Why do you think there's a need for election commissioner as a chief officer? Is it something that the election commissioner reach out to you?
Yes.
With that, the floor is open for any further questions of intent. Seeing none, we'll move on to our next new business item, item 2023-3-005Y, adding an international student constituency to Senate with Senator Gopa.
So I'm actually pretty proud about this. It's been 2 years of an idea that I had. Last year, there were 0 international students on student government. 0 senators were international, 0 cabinet members that were international, 0 people on the executive committee that were international. And I don't know how many at-larges were international, but I don't think it was many. I think there was 1 on PR from what I checked. Fortunately, we have more international faces in the room today, this semester, but we'll never know for the future semesters. So I came up with this. So the International Student Committee already exists. What is it? International Student Council already exists. So we would add a constituency in student government for international students. So Speaker Cecil did the math, and that would add up to 2 international student senators in Senate. And I'm still thinking about the election details that'll come out later. And I talked with the International Student Council, and they think this is a great idea. They're all for it. And it's not a big change to our constitution, but it's pretty big for them, and I'm gonna help them through it if they need the help, but they seem pretty qualified. Also, having more international voices in this room would be great, because international students have a different perspective, even though I'm not international, but I went to an international high school for about 6 years, so I have a different perspective of how the world works. I have and yeah, that's what I see from different international students, and yeah, I'll take any questions.
Floor is open for questions of intent, starting with Senator Momini.
Would this open a seat? Let me think about how to phrase this in yes or no. Would the students elected to these seats come from the International Student Council?
No, they're elected by.
Sorry, Senator.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
No. My bad.
Senator Trotter.
Would this change any of the other seats? Would there be a certain proportion of representation that we're seeking to maintain? Or, like, would adding these 2 seats change the composition of the overall Senate? Like, would we have to remove 2 seats from somewhere else?
No.
Just checking. Thank you.
So with that, the floor is open for any further questions. Seeing none, we'll move on to our final item of business for this evening, item 2023-3-009F, funding the Rodeo Club with Senator Eisma.
Hi, everybody. Rodeo Club, they have asked this bill every year, and we've never had any issues with it. We are very much in support of Rodeo Bill. Are they leaving, or? I believe they're only allowed to talk if we would waive first read, which we don't plan on doing so.
So I'm sorry, I didn't catch that you are not planning to waive first read?
No, we don't plan on waiving first read tonight.
Okay, well, this time is yours.
Hi, I'm Emily Akins. I am the former Rodeo Club treasurer, and this is Addie.
My name is Addie Bomber. I'm the current Rodeo Club treasurer.
So we're requesting funding to fund our annual Cyclone Stampede Rodeo. I'm pretty sure it's the 64th or 5th year. So we've been around for a while. The rodeo usually gets about 1,000 to 1,500 people per performance, and we have 3 performances. So that's quite a bit of traffic through Hansen Center. And we also, it's free to students, so it's open to any Iowa State student or faculty member. And yeah, do you want me to speak on like why we're requesting the amount we're requesting? I don't.
I'm sorry, is that directed at someone specific, or?
You, I guess.
I
Or
would defer to Senator Eisma on
Eisma?
that as the representative on this bill.
Next week.
Next week, okay. Then, I don't know, do you have more to add?
We usually sell out for our 2-night performances, so it's a very highly trafficked event, and it's very highly enjoyed by our students that we hear from.
So if not, the floor is open for questions of intent, starting with Senator Azan.
Did they apply through official year funding? Did this club apply through official year funding as regular allocation?
Like through regular P&P?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was not incorporated back then. This much amount was not incorporated through official year funding. Because it's a big amount. I mean, it's $30,000. Did it was part of annual allocation or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay. With that, I yield.
All right, and so with that, the floor is open for any further questions of intent. Seeing no questions, thank you, and we'll see this bill again next week. So with that, we've completed our business for this evening, and so I'd open up the floor to closing announcements. Senator Jones.
I don't know if this is like standard for closing announcements, but it's Senator Pursley's birthday today. So if everyone should wish her a happy birthday on the way out.
It's been moved and seconded to sing happy birthday. All right. So with that, Director Miller. What? Director Miller, go ahead.
This is not to sing this song, by the way. This is just something I forgot to include in my update because I always forget something. The Sustainapalooza event is next week. If you still need outreach hours, there are plenty of opportunities. It is in the outreach hour document, so you can just sign up for that. And so next Monday at 7 p.m. in the Sunroom, Christine Irvin will be giving the keynote speech for the event, and it was the Assistant Secretary of Energy under the Clinton administration, and she has done a lot of other very cool things. And as well as that, there will be Sustainability University Awards given out. So that is Monday, what's the day? The 26th at 7 p.m. in the Sunroom. And then the next day, Sustainapalooza will happen from 5 to 8. So I highly encourage everyone to go there. It will be very fun.
Senator Gopa.
Okay, the Blood Drive Club is doing another blood drive, March 4 to 6. Sign up. They have a booth in Sector, and I think it's great that one donation saves 3 lives. Also, Student Union Board is holding After Dark this Friday. Tell your friends about it. And is anyone going to Isle this Saturday? The leadership.
Yep.
Okay, 2 guys. Okay, that's
You going
great.
to?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Commissioner Clayton.
Hi, everyone. So I don't know if everyone knows, but we're having in-person polling positions this year, polling stations this year. We're making a booth out of PVC pipe and fabric that we're going to have in front of the library. And other places are going to have tables set up. We're having 4 of these locations, and we need like 2 people at each. And having only 6 commission members, that makes it a little bit difficult. So we're looking for volunteers. This would count as an outreach credit. If you're rerunning to be a senator next year, this does not count as that outreach credit, considering when you are volunteering, we will have you sign basically just a form that says, I will not campaign for anyone. But you will be able to vote, like after or before your time. I think that's it. Oh, we might be we're in talks right now of getting sponsored by Insomnia and scooters, possibly. Thank y'all.
So with that, the floor is open for any further closing announcements. Seeing none, I don't have a whole lot to share with you all this evening that hasn't already been talked about, except to once again congratulate Local Affairs on all you've done for the Safe Word Project. I'm really looking forward to that, and you guys and ex officio Clark have done a great job. And so with that, I would yield over to Vice Speaker Everhart.
Vice Speaker, you have to sing the song. I'm still waiting for it.
Okay, I guess I can start that. Everybody, we're going to sing happy birthday to Josie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Josie. Happy birthday to you. Slay. Okay. So, the only thing that I have is for the new senator, and also, I guess the new cabinet member is gone. I will be updating the binder that has the attendance in it on my desk. Also, please, even if you're not new, make sure that your information on the MIS is up to date. I know we did have a couple questions about how to get into the office. You should be able to tap your ISU ID card to like the little scanner on the door. But if that doesn't work, please let our advisors know so that way we can, get the door coded with your guys' information. Other than that, Speaker Cecil?
Can I? So if you don't have access, please make sure that your information is on the MIS because that's where we pull when we update the doors to the Senate office. So if your stuff isn't in the MIS, then we will not be able to put your access into the door. So thank you for that, Hannah.
I just have one announcement. Rules has a vacancy that I forgot to mention last week. If you are interested in being on Rules, please let me know. We have a couple people that already expressed interest, but I would love to see more people. So, yeah, with that, move to adjourn. Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones, we're adjourned.